How Millionaires Think, 7 Mindset Shifts That Changed My Life. Have you ever looked at someone successful and thought, what exactly are they doing differently? Maybe you've worked just as hard, or harder, but they seem to have this invisible advantage. Like they're playing a game you didn't even know existed. I used to feel that way too. I wasn't born into wealth. No one handed me a manual on how to get rich or build success. But what I discovered, and what truly changed everything for me, was this: the biggest difference between where I was and where I wanted to be wasn't luck, talent, or connections. It was mindset. That might sound cliché, but stay with me. I'm not talking about vague positive thinking or empty motivation. I'm talking about real shifts in how you see the world, how you approach problems, and how you make decisions daily. These are the things millionaires don't always talk about, but they live by. And once I started applying these mindset shifts, it was like stepping into a new version of my life. In this video, I want to walk you through 7 powerful mindset shifts that changed my life and helped me start thinking like a millionaire. If you apply even a few of these, they can change yours too. Let's start with the first one. The first shift is learning to value time more than money. It sounds simple, right? But think about it. Most people trade time for money every single day. They work longer hours, take on side hustles, and sacrifice their personal lives, all to earn a little more. Meanwhile, millionaires obsess over how to buy their time back. They hire help, delegate tasks, automate systems, not because they're lazy, but because they know time is the one resource they can't get back. I used to say yes to everything. Every meeting. Every gig. Every request. I thought being busy meant I was being productive. But really, I was just running in circles. Once I started asking, is this the best use of my time, everything shifted. I started cutting out distractions, outsourcing low-value tasks, and focusing only on what moved me forward. That one shift alone gave me the clarity and freedom to grow faster than I ever had before. The second mindset shift is this: wealth is built through ownership, not labor. When I finally understood this, it hit me hard. Growing up, we're taught that working hard leads to success. And yes, hard work matters, but it's only part of the equation. The real wealth, the kind that grows while you sleep, comes from ownership. Owning a business. Owning real estate. Owning stocks. Even owning your own time. I'll never forget the moment it clicked. I was freelancing full-time, juggling clients, deadlines, invoices. I was proud, but exhausted. And I realized, no matter how much I charged, I'd always be trading hours for dollars. I started asking, what can I build that pays me long after I stop working on it? That's when I began creating systems, products, investments, assets that would continue to generate income, even when I wasn't actively working. If you're only earning through your labor, you're stuck in a loop. But when you own something, anything, that appreciates or brings in cash flow, that's when your money starts working for you. And that's a game changer. The third mindset shift? Millionaires focus on solving problems, not chasing money. This one was a tough pill for me to swallow, because for years, I was chasing cash. Every decision I made was based on, how much will I get paid? But the most successful people I've met, they aren't chasing dollars. They're obsessed with solving problems. They look for pain points, gaps, inefficiencies. Then they build solutions people are happy to pay for. When I started focusing on value instead of income, everything changed. I stopped trying to be the cheapest or fastest. Instead, I asked, what can I do better than anyone else? Whether it was a product, a service, or just the way I showed up, I became obsessed with improvement. I wasn't focused on how much I could earn, I was focused on how much I could help. Ironically, the more I helped, the more I earned. Money is a side effect of value. The more problems you solve, the more money flows to you. Not the other way around. And that brings me to something even deeper. Millionaires don't see failure the same way most people do. That's mindset shift number 4. Most of us are trained to avoid failure at all costs. We're taught that failure is embarrassing, even shameful. But people who build wealth, they see failure as data, as feedback, as part of the process. They fail, and then they try again, smarter, better, faster. I've failed so many times I lost count. Failed businesses, bad investments, ideas that flopped. But the difference was, I stopped seeing failure as a dead end. Instead, I treated every setback as a lesson. And with each lesson, I leveled up. I remember launching an online course that completely bombed. Barely anyone signed up. A year earlier, that kind of result would have crushed me. But instead, I looked at it and thought, okay, what went wrong? What did I learn? What can I do better next time? Within a few months, I restructured the course, rewrote the messaging, and relaunched, and this time, it sold out. You cannot succeed without failing. It's not a detour. It's the path. And here's the last mindset I want to share in this first part of our conversation. Millionaires play the long game. We live in a world obsessed with quick wins, instant gratification, fast money. But real wealth? It's slow. It compounds over time. It's built brick by brick. Millionaires understand this. They're not trying to win today, they're building something that lasts a decade. When I first started investing, I was impatient. I wanted results fast. But then I learned about compound growth, how consistent effort over time outperforms short bursts of hustle every single time. Whether it was investing in my business, my health, or my relationships, the same rule applied: long-term thinking wins. Now, every decision I make, I ask myself, will this still matter in 5 years? If the answer is yes, I go all in. If not, I move on. That simple filter saved me from wasting years on things that didn't matter, and helped me focus on what truly does. Now that we've explored these first powerful mindset shifts, let's keep going. There's more I want to share with you, ideas that completely transformed how I think, live, and grow. If you've ever wondered how some people keep leveling up while others stay stuck, even with the same tools and opportunities, the answer is almost always mindset. Not talent. Not luck. But how they think, and more importantly, how they respond when life gets real. We've already talked about valuing time over money, building wealth through ownership, solving problems instead of chasing money, reframing failure, and thinking long-term. And now, let's keep that momentum going. Because the next mindset shift took me the longest to learn, but once I got it, it was like someone turned the lights on. Here it is: millionaires protect their environment like their life depends on it, because it does. Look, you can have the best intentions, read every personal growth book on the planet, and listen to all the motivational podcasts. But if you're surrounded by people who drain your energy, mock your ambitions, or stay stuck in victim mode, it's only a matter of time before you start shrinking to fit their comfort zone. That's what happened to me. I used to downplay my goals around certain people just to fit in. I'd bite my tongue when I wanted to talk about my ideas or share a win. It wasn't until I started putting myself in rooms where dreaming big was normal, where execution was celebrated, and growth was expected, that I actually started growing. Not because I changed who I was, but because I stopped dimming my light to make others feel comfortable. Protect your energy. Be ruthless with your environment. You don't need toxic loyalty. You need alignment. Surround yourself with people who want you to win. People who challenge you, hold you accountable, and don't let you play small. One solid conversation with the right person can shift your entire trajectory. I've lived that truth more than once. And speaking of conversations, this next mindset shift is something I learned by listening to how successful people speak. Millionaires ask different questions. That might sound subtle, but it's one of the most powerful shifts of all. The average person asks, "Can I afford this?" or "What if it doesn't work?" But millionaires ask, "How can I afford this?" or "What needs to happen to make this work?" See the difference? One line of questioning shuts the door. The other one opens it. I remember a time when I wanted to invest in mentorship, but the price made me hesitate. My old mindset said, nope. Too expensive. But then I paused and asked, what would need to happen for this to be the best investment I've ever made? That single question opened up a new level of thinking. I came up with ideas to create more income, restructure my goals, and show up to that mentorship like my life depended on it. And guess what? That investment ended up paying me back tenfold. Asking better questions leads to better answers. And better answers lead to better decisions. Whether it's about money, career, health, or relationships, start paying attention to the quality of your questions. Your brain is a search engine. It'll go find what you tell it to look for. Now, I want to share something a little more personal. Something that changed how I see risk forever. Millionaires see risk through a completely different lens. Most people avoid risk because they fear loss. And don't get me wrong, being smart with your choices is important. But if you avoid all risk, you also avoid all growth. Here's the truth, not taking risks is often the riskiest thing you can do. There was a point where I had to decide between staying in a secure, stable job that made me feel stuck, or pursuing an idea that lit me up inside but had no guarantees. Everyone told me to stay safe. But something in me knew that the bigger risk was waking up 10 years later, wondering, what if I had just tried? So, I took the leap. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't easy. But it was real. And that decision became the foundation for everything I've built since. Millionaires don't eliminate risk, they learn how to manage it. They take calculated bets. They know the downside, but they focus on the upside. They weigh the potential return against the fear. And most importantly, they bet on themselves. If you want a different life, you have to be willing to do things others won't. That doesn't mean being reckless. It means being bold. And trust me, bold decisions change everything. And that leads me to this final mindset shift I want to share with you in this part of our conversation. Millionaires operate from a sense of responsibility, not entitlement. This one might surprise you, but it's everywhere once you start to notice. People who build wealth from the ground up, they don't walk around waiting for someone to give them permission. They don't blame the economy, their parents, or their past. They take ownership. Even of things that weren't their fault. It's not about guilt, it's about power. When you take ownership, you take your power back. You stop waiting for perfect conditions, and you start asking, what can I do right now with what I have? I've met people who grew up in the worst possible circumstances, poverty, trauma, rejection. But they chose not to let that define them. They took full responsibility for where they were and where they wanted to go. And they got there. On the flip side, I've met people with every advantage who still feel stuck because they're waiting for someone to come save them. Here's the truth, no one's coming. But that's not bad news. That's the best news. Because it means you get to decide what happens next. Once I adopted that mindset, everything shifted. I stopped blaming. I stopped complaining. I started building. Little by little. Day by day. And over time, I built something that looked impossible at the beginning. Let's keep this energy going. There's still one more layer to uncover, something that brings all of these mindset shifts together and makes them stick. When I think back to who I was before I learned these mindset shifts, it's honestly like looking at a different person. I used to second-guess everything. I waited for permission. I played small, thinking life would eventually reward me just for working hard and being a good person. But the truth is, the world doesn't pay you for effort. It pays you for value. And the person who brings the most value, consistently, and at scale, is usually the one who's done the deep inner work. The one who thinks differently. The one who's trained their mind to play at a higher level. And that brings me to the final mindset shift that changed my life and continues to change it every day. Millionaires believe in growth over perfection. Let me explain what that means. Most people are stuck because they're waiting to feel ready. They think they need to know everything, have all the pieces lined up, be in the perfect mental space before they take the first step. But that's not how growth works. You don't wait until you're confident. You build confidence by doing the thing, failing a little, learning, and getting better. Millionaires understand that perfection is a trap. It's a disguise for fear. And fear doesn't leave by thinking, it leaves through action. I used to obsess over getting everything right. Whether it was launching a product, starting a new habit, or making a big life move, I would overthink, overplan, and overwrite my own progress. What I didn't realize was that while I was trying to make it perfect, someone else was out there just doing it. And they were learning faster, growing faster, winning faster. Eventually, I decided to start embracing what I call imperfect action. Doing the thing before I felt ready. Launching with version 1. Speaking up even if my voice shook. Taking the risk even if I wasn't sure how it would turn out. And here's what I learned. You get so much further by being consistent than by being flawless. Progress always beats perfection. Think of a kid learning to walk. They don't wait until they've mastered the technique. They just stand up, fall down, get back up, and try again. That's growth. And that's the mindset you need to level up in any area of your life. Millionaires don't see themselves as finished products. They see themselves as works in progress. Constant learners. They invest in their minds more than anything else. Not just once, but forever. And that's really the through line in all of this. Every mindset shift we've talked about, valuing time, thinking long-term, taking ownership, solving problems, managing risk, it all comes down to one thing: growth. Choosing it. Living it. Committing to it, even when it's uncomfortable. Because here's the truth most people never tell you: becoming successful is not about adding more. It's about becoming more. More aware. More disciplined. More focused. More intentional. When I started this journey, I thought I needed strategies, tactics, blueprints. And sure, those things help. But they don't work until you do. It's your mindset that unlocks everything else. And you don't need to be a millionaire to start thinking like one. That's the beauty of this: you can apply these shifts right now, from wherever you are. You can start valuing your time. You can build things that pay you back. You can focus on solving problems instead of chasing dollars. You can change your questions. Take smarter risks. Surround yourself with better energy. And most of all, you can give yourself permission to grow. It doesn't matter how old you are, or what mistakes you've made, or how far behind you feel. The moment you decide to shift your mindset, that's the moment your future begins. And here's the part one hope you really feel in your heart. You are not stuck. You are not too late. You are not broken. You're just one decision away from a completely different life. Don't wait for someone to choose you. Choose yourself. Don't wait for the fear to go away. Move through it. Don't wait to be perfect. Just start. Because once you start thinking differently, once you shift how you see yourself, your time, your value, everything else follows. It's not magic. It's mindset. But mindset is what creates momentum. And momentum is what creates freedom. Now, I want to leave you with a challenge. Take just one of these mindset shifts, whichever one hit you the hardest, and act on it today. Maybe it's cutting one distraction to protect your time. Maybe it's reaching out to someone who inspires you. Maybe it's starting that side project you've been putting off. Whatever it is, do it today. Not tomorrow. Not someday. Today. And once you do, let it compound. Let it build. One action leads to another, and before you know it, you've created something real. Something that no one can take away from you. That's how millionaires think. That's how you grow into your next level. And that's how you build a life that actually feels like yours. If this video sparked something in you, even just a little, drop a comment and let me know which mindset shift spoke to you the most. I read every single one, and I'd love to hear your story. And hey, if you found this helpful, hit that like button and make sure you subscribe. We've got so much more content coming your way to help you grow, think bigger, and live life on your terms. Here's to your next breakthrough. Here's to the mindset that creates miracles. And here's to building a life you don't need a vacation from. You've got this.